I'm sure most of you watching know about Ice Age and you know who Buck is from Ice Age, and I'm sure at least some of you know what Far Cry 3 is, and then therefore you would know who Buck is from that game. Now, what if I told you there's a lot more in common than just these two characters' names? Let's go. Now, we're going to start off with the fact that they're both Australian and they both have beautiful blue eyes. And now, both of them also have special little knives. And the weasel one, he's got one that's like made of the tooth of Rudy? Whatever the dinosaur's name was. The dinosaur he fought with who lost a tooth in the battle. So he made a knife out of that. And then the human one is obsessed with like this knife from some ancient Chinese warrior.
A wanker.
Believe me, I tried to pay attention during those history lessons, but I cannot understand what he's saying half of the time. Now, this knife is made out of what looks to be bones. So regardless, they both have knives that they're obsessed with, and they also fight with them at some point. One of them's clearly much more skilled than the other, and one of them just dies very, very easily. Now, I also think it's worth pointing out that the weasel one kind of has fur on his chin that looks a lot like the human Buck's facial hair.
That's not alright!
So there's another physical similarity. Also, having mentioned the history lessons, they both give those, where the weasel one gives history on the meteors in Collision Course, and he has another one in the dinosaur movie that I can't quite remember right now. And then the human one gives a lesson on General Li Shang or Yao Shang. I can't remember the name, but he gives a history lesson on that and how the knife got buried, right? They also both make up fake characters, the human one making up a character called Hector to threaten Jason into thinking he's gonna kill Keith. And the weasel one makes up characters because he like lives alone, so he's kind of going crazy, and he's got like a pineapple wife, he gets like a pumpkin daughter in Collision Course and all that kind of thing. Which now brings me to my next point about how they both live alone. The Buck one living in the dinosaur kind of jungle area all by himself, and then the human one kind of lives just outside of Bad Town, which is kind of a stupid location because he lives literally just outside the exit. You go out, you go left, and then his house is like right there. They also both have a tendency to just randomly appear places, like with the missions in Far Cry 3. Buck is just always like there before you, or when you finish, he's just kind of there. In the heavenly light, he's standing there. And then with the weasel one, he just kind of starts showing up randomly, like in Collision Course, he just kind of comes out of the meteor crash, and then in Buck Wild, he's on the back of like a pterosaur when the possums are falling to their death. And also in Buck Wild, they give some backstory on the weasel Buck and talk about how he was in like this group of dinosaurs, and then they kind of fell off after, I don't know, 2 of them died or something, and the girl was kind of mad at him for that. And then with the human one, he kind of has this lore where he used to be in the military, and then he got kicked out because he was bloodthirsty or something. And then I also saw this scene in Buck Wild, which I thought kind of looked like when the human one is kind of sunbathing. So there's another thing. Now, what are some differences? Well, for one, the weasel doesn't do illegal activities with people that he buys. I don't think he buys people to begin with, so I think that's a very big difference. Also, the weasel has like a community that he lives with all the other dinosaurs and mammals, but then the human one is, you know, further away from Bad Town, and I imagine he doesn't go there to do anything other than just drink his brains out. Also, just a little detail here, I want to point out that the human has a deer tattoo on his chest, and he also has like a little deer around his belt, so I thought that little detail was cute. Now, the Ice Age Buck was introduced in 2009 on July 1st, whereas Far Cry 3 released in 2012 on November 29th. Now, why do I point this out? Well, I think it's very clearly that Bambi Buck Hughes is the Weasel Buck's true form. Anyways, thanks for watching this stupid little video idea I had. I'm now going to disappear for another year and maybe come up with another video idea, or maybe I'll come back sooner. Make sure you subscribe.